you're only as rich as those that are around you.
Hi everyone, I'm Valored here today with my special guest. Hi Miranti, welcome.
Hi, Elle.
Hi, thank you for taking the time to chat. I'm excited for this conversation.
Really excited to be here.
Yeah, before we jump on, let me introduce Miranti before we start our conversation today. As a German-born Indonesian, Miranti grew up in San Francisco since she was 6 years old. After attending Cornell University's hotel school, she returned to San Francisco to be with her family and to grow and build their real estate portfolio. She continues to guide CHS leaders in the Pacific Northwest and Hawaii region to strengthen alumni involvement, while she's building her financial services agency throughout the US to educate families and business owners in various communities to empower them with the right knowledge and tools to achieve financial independence. She's also managing her hospitality business in Sonoma Wine Country. She enjoys spending all her free time with family, seeking adventures in the outdoors and unknown terrain, and being one with nature for inspiration, relaxation, and peace. I love it. Welcome, Auntie.
Thank you, Elle.
And I just so happy to learn about this part of you about the Sonoma wine country. It's beautiful, and I just checked out the venue. It's absolutely amazing. Um, but I know you are so multifaceted and you have so many amazing interests. Um, Tell me, why do you do what you do, and what makes you unique in doing? And so, why do you choose to do those things?
Yeah, Elle. I feel that I have a purpose in life,
Yeah.
and it is definitely something that has guided me through every part and stage of my life. Just kind of always searching for, like, what's my calling, or at least for the moment, what is it that I am to accomplish that will make a big impact.
Mhm.
And I think because of that, it's led me to the choices that I've actually done. Getting all the licenses that I've had, really being like the master of an expert, in that field when it calls for it. And, I think because I'm very analytical and I see things very differently. I think my perspective is also very different. When I look at it through just different eyes, just based on the experiences I've had. And I always had it in my mind to just experience everything at least once.
Yeah.
And it definitely goes a long way to combat like ignorance, and just dispel that doubt or disbelief that you do have in yourself. Because I think when you have more of a adventurous and courageous outlook to things, and of course a positive outlook, then it'll always get you over that hump to that next stage.
Yeah, I love that. I love that desire to learn and be open to all these different things that that we can learn about and grow. I love that. So I know you are German-born Indonesian, and this is one of the questions that I love to ask our ladies that who I talk to and that are women of the truly women of the world. What country do you call home?
Yeah, so I think for a very long time I was confused. I think because
Why?
being born in Germany when I was young, I was like, okay, that was my first language. And then we lived in Indonesia for a little bit as well. And I was like, okay, I like it there too. And then when I moved here to the US, San Francisco, I was 6 and I didn't know any English, right? I didn't know yes or no, anything. And it felt foreign to me.
Yeah.
But I think acclimating and just seeking out, like, just yourself as a person and just trying to find like what your place is. I really have begun to call, like, I think the US
Yeah.
home. I'm not specifically any particular city, or because I love East West Coast, but definitely I think the what we stand for, which is just freedom of thought, what you want to do, right, to live your own life and with
Yeah.
that purpose. I would call here home.
Yeah. I love that. Yeah, I love that. And I can totally relate because coming from a different country, when we come, I think one of the good challenges is to really find your voice in the midst of all the, and I know I definitely went through that growth, because at the beginning, living in a, trying to adjust in a new country, living in a new country, and it's natural for human beings to kind of follow, right, what's there, because you want to adjust, but then at one point of time where you catch yourself, okay, how is it how do I find my voice? And I think that's the beauty of it, living in a different environment, living in new environments. It's your voice being shaped based on who you are as well, where you were born, and your life attitudes and how you grew up, and all those cultural differences. And I love that. Yeah, and definitely with the freedom of thought, and yeah,
Absolutely.
I love that. I agree, definitely agree with that. And then because of the different backgrounds and upbringings, right, how do you think your upbringing and background limited or favored you?
Well, I think it definitely favored me. I can definitely attest to that. I think when I mentioned before about different perspectives, it's really helped shape and really give you a different perspective on gratitude as well, on different aspects and different levels. My both my parents, mom, dad side, very, very different families. So I think because of that, because they're so dissimilar, that creates a very big perspective and a lot of empathy too, right? To different people. My mom, I always thought was like very ahead of her time in terms of being a very empowered female with her own, thought and determination. And I'm glad that I think probably a part of that,
Yeah,
carried it on to me as well. Just, wanting to be that independent woman. And, with her side, it was all rooted in like military, farming, guided so deeply in like ancestral, line and
yeah,
culture, and where education was such a priority, right? Family was a priority. And that is absolutely amazing because you're only as rich as those that are around you,
yes,
those experiences and those memories and what you feel. And but conversely, learning about, right, the very capitalistic world and how, we are trying to strive, right, in this type of environment. My father's side gives a very different perspective, right? Even though, generations have come from like very humble beginnings, we were definitely an entrepreneurial family, right, in all forms. And it started generations ago. And, and the business was a thing, right? Legacy building was a thing, right? And it is a thing. And it's very important for that side of the family, just really what we do now is really working and taking care of the things for the
mhm,
next generation. And if we instill that, then we're really taking care of what we have, which is also the world, right? And how we treat others and things like that. So definitely favored me, because having that perspective on both sides of like, I wouldn't say, but like different classes perhaps, right? Gives you an idea of like, very hardworking and a lot of the knowledge coming through with just being grounded with family has really kind of carried me through so much through childhood and not being swayed by a lot of peers or
yeah,
influences or any social aspects. And um it's really made me focus, at least that the one thing I can say I focus is that part.
yeah.
Yeah. Hmm.
That's great. And I love the values that they were, your parents and your family instilled in you. I love those. Yeah, because life is, there are so many different situations like that we face, right? And so sometimes when we're looking for answers, I know it helps me go back to the roots, right? Where we are, who we are, where we're from, and the values that we stand for. A lot of the times that helps answer a lot of the questions that we face as well. So I love that. Yeah, and I love, having your mom as a figure, as an empowerment figure like that, woman and empowering women. That's so beautiful. And I know you are such a, a rich and multifaceted a woman, and again, because you're open to learn, you always grow and learning and all these different things that you um, build around yourself and things that you're interested in. And right before this conversation, we were talking about how we get so that creative mode. We just love to create and, dream and imagine. And I love that too, because I can totally relate to that as well. While you are creating these things, this life for yourself through these different venues that you are working in, what was the biggest, and I know there are so many lessons, but what would be the biggest lesson that you could share for you that you learned from, and maybe while building a business or while building your life?
Right. So I think from an early age, being really aware,
Mm-hmm.
I think of surroundings and how things work, you do get to realize what, differences are, right? And how you're different as well. So I think the difference is blocking that, blocking that particular like reality, and really putting a lot of, faith in God also. We're very, very rooted in spiritual and faith oriented in our family. And that's definitely the one thing that's kind of the ground to realize that, I'm only thinking that, hey, I am a person and then I am capable, right?
Yeah.
It didn't matter what I looked like or where I'm from, whether I'm male or female, what country, whatever it is. If I spoke intelligently, if I, did things through my heart,
Yeah.
right? Being very genuine in my intentions,
Yeah.
in the things I did or how I treated people, then I think, with the rest, if there's a problem, it's
Yeah.
someone else's problem.
Yeah.
And I think realizing that, and not kind of listening to other people's opinions or judgment
Mm-hmm.
to kind of alter how you yourself should behave or how you should act. I think that's kind of the reason why, if you're focused on what you want to do and when you want to get done and whatever dream or goal it is that you have, and you think that no one should stand in the way, then they shouldn't.
Mm-hmm.
And you should just accomplish it.
Yeah.
And so I think because of that, that's what kind of allowed me to kind of keep moving, right? Push forward. And especially doing business, right? I mean, everyone has the same challenges if they have a
Yeah.
business, man or woman. And, whether you're wealthy, you're not wealthy, like whatever you have the education or not, still the same challenges. So as a person, as a human being, how are you going to go through that?
Yeah.
And I think for sure, like finding out what your strength is, like where your right where your goal is, and
Yeah.
then you focus on that, and
Right.
then you can kind of overcome anything.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah. I love that. I love how you said going through your heart, sharing through your heart and following your heart. I love that. Because I think that is so, at the end of the day, that's what's leading us. And that's a voice we should listen to. That's the only voice we should listen to. And the feeling that, because normally if it's something that's supposed to be part of you and belongs to you, I believe it gives you such an amazing energy, right? The feeling that, and that is also a confirmation
Mhm.
that we are on the right track. And so listening to that voice of your heart, not sometimes maybe not even to the voice in the head, because that might be limiting voice, right? Limiting.
Yeah.
So I love that.
And it's hard, right? It's very challenging,
It's
especially
challenging.
because there's so many voices there that,
Yeah.
will lead you astray. Like
Yeah.
it's the head, it's the rationale, or it's like, hey, I
Mm-hmm.
have to do this, otherwise I can't survive, right? Those type of things. But at the end of the day, if you're at least grounded in that piece of, okay, is this who I am? Right? Am I also morally like this? These are the values I want to follow, and I will feel very good with myself at the end of the day. Okay, then push forward. But then if you have some, alterations on that, no matter what, I won't last anyways.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
And that kind of takes us to the next topic that I wanted to talk about is the chapter of the book, because we touched on a little bit of a purpose and we were kind of leading towards that life purpose and meaning. And I So we are releasing our third edition of our series, and our book is coming out. Launches April 6th for the Financial Awareness Month of April, and I'm just so excited to bring this book to the world. And the title is Women, Money, and Energy of Life. And I know you shared your beautiful story, Miranti, in the book. If you could share with our listeners the title for your chapter, and what was your, like, what did you want the reader to take away from it?
Yes, Elle, no, thank you so much, right? I mean, it's such an honor and a privilege to even be included with these group of amazing ladies, and to
Yeah.
kind of see your words on print, right, is absolutely amazing. And so, thank you so much for the opportunity as well. My title is Finding Purpose and Meaning in Life. So if you had asked me this probably, even 5 years ago,
Yeah.
that probably wouldn't really come into my head as much if you said, hey, we're writing a book about money, right? We're writing a book about finances. That probably wouldn't come into my head. I would be very literal about it. But the past 4 years, I've grown so much personally,
Mm,
much more than I have before, just by, my association with, the past, organization that I've
yeah.
been with, right? Financial services agency. And they taught me so much about myself, my resiliency, like how strong I am. I thought I was pretty strong. I thought I had pretty thick skin, with rejections and facing people and harsh
Yeah.
words. But wow, nothing really hit home since like this past 4 years. And what it's taught me so much, actually, but I don't know if it's, the opposite of what it was trying to teach me, to plow further forward into this. But it's really like trying to find at the end of the day,
Mm-hmm.
with your life,
Mm-hmm.
with your expiration date, it's like, are you following your happiness? Are you happy?
Right.
Are you actually following also your true self?
Mm-hmm.
Like your true absolute self, not what others view of you, like, oh yeah, I know you're really great at this, or oh wow, I can see you being this or this, leader. But it's really okay, but do you want to be that though? That's the ultimate question.
Mm-hmm.
And been very fortunate to have had a lot of great, material things in life and experiences.
Yeah.
But at the same time, when you remain humble and you kind of, see also struggles and, real world, scenarios, like if, I'm like part of Rotary International too. So I see, right, the need for so many different communities all over the world, then it allows you to think deeper about, well, what is it you really want to build for your life, for, your dream,
Yeah.
and what your future might be, what your future family also would look like. And like I mentioned before, it's like, are you really living your life? The life that you're supposed to intend to live,
Yeah.
not, what you think someone else should or how it's gonna look,
Yeah.
later on, but just that true fulfillment. And it, oh my gosh, it's probably like the most challenging thing.
Yeah. It's so challenging, right?
Yeah, because I
Yeah.
mean, even leading with the heart and thinking that way, perhaps we were all that way when we were younger.
Yeah.
And as we got older, maybe a lot of that, like you get hurt and you put a lot of wells up and then you stop. But then you get reminded
Mm-hmm.
that you do need to open up, and be vulnerable, and it's okay. While still, of course, being very realistic and not getting hurt, but still opening yourself up, to what you do and your intentions. And I really want everyone, male, female, like I know there's of course, like a lot of women in this book, but a
Yeah.
lot of maybe like younger women and those that are maybe struggling,
Yeah.
to see that there's always hope, that no matter what age you're at, you can still flip things around. You can still, right, like navigate a different path. And I think that's really what I wanted to showcase, because I feel that with a lot of the experiences that I've had,
Mm-hmm.
it definitely was not one dimensional, and it definitely was not one life.
Mm-hmm.
It was many lives. I feel like I did. Not to say that I had multi, facets or personalities or anything. No, it's more of like, what experiences are you going to put together, and what do you see through different people?
Yeah.
And with those people, you get to know yourself, because you take a little bit of, that, and see if you
Absolutely.
like it or you don't, or does this really mesh with you? And I think that's important. to really to realize it's not what I say, it's not what I do. It's ultimately, hopefully it's an example.
Yeah.
Then you can go and do this for yourself.
Yeah.
Live
Yeah.
the life that you're supposed to live, your best self.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. Because I think the society boxes, right, creates this box where in school it's all about the grade. So when we meet the grade of that grade, because then we are a good student, then we are a good, we have a chance to go to the university, or we have a chance to create this life. And so that boxes us to think specific way. And sometimes to me, it's like, people forget to even think for themselves, to think, because it's given to us. And in these days, DNA, of course, DNA, where we have everything given to us, where we go, it's kind of given to you. So forgetting to even think for yourself. And I think that's why maybe it's so challenging to find, what is it am I supposed to do in this world? Like, what's my true purpose, right? To really take that voice, or find that voice, and separate it from what was told to us by the society, by the family and the teachers and also on. So if someone is going through that, right, how, like, what would you say they should start, like, what one thing they should do to really, when they start asking themselves, what is my purpose, how do I find my purpose? What would be one thing that they can start?
I think the first thing to start is to actually have alone time, quiet alone time, wherever that is that you feel the most, I think, contemplative and in tune to your own feelings.
Listening to
Or
yourself.
it'd be meditating, where you need to take that hike, or you need to go to that beach, or maybe it's just locking yourself in a room, and putting on your headphones and, just listening to something to kind of decompress you a bit. Because sometimes, there's so much noise now. And
Yes.
especially if you're living in a city, especially if you're, living with a lot of people that's around you, just take a moment, right? Just go somewhere, take a walk somewhere, drive somewhere. And I think that's like the first, like, best step. And then always talking about it, or journaling it, or writing it down, because you won't be able to see what's really real unless you actually put it forth, put it out there, right? No one else knows what you actually really want unless you actually say something, correct? And at the same time, for yourself too, you don't actually know. You might be thinking it, but maybe you need to write it down. Maybe you yourself, you need to visually see it. And maybe it's, right, that vision board too that you have, or the journal. And I think that's a good first step to kind of get to those next
Love
steps.
that.
Right. Because there's always a lot of things. You can read a lot of, great books, and you can reach out and have mentors, or, coaches that are willing to help you and guide you on a very kind of a non-judgmental and unbiased, right? Like very third party, like just trying to help you, right? Guide you. Because that's really what it is. We're just navigating our own thoughts and our process and our wills, desires, right? Needs, wants, and just being able to quiet that down is probably the hardest thing, because you need to take the time. You need to block out that time to do it. And it's very challenging because we always go, go, go. There's always something to do in the morning, right? Even at night when we're going to bed, we still have to look at something before we go to bed. It is, that's probably one of those challenging things. But I think if that's the first step and you can make it consistent, then you'll find your truth.
I love that. I love that, because I feel like quiet time these days is such a luxury, right? There's all this I was just reading the other day, this place where it's a silence retreat, right? So we have all these places for us to get away today, just because it's a luxury. Finding this quiet time is a luxury today,
It is.
Go always. So thank you for that, Miranti. And I love this conversation, because it's such a good conversation for today, I think, to have. And so before we move on, so our book releases again April 6th. You'll be able to buy it for $1.99 for the 2 days. I'm not sure when this will air, so we if we released it already, you can find it on our website, womenoftheworldnetwork.com, and you can buy your copy of the book there. We're going to have a digital and print version as well. So I'm excited to share your beautiful story, and thank you for deciding to participate. It's definitely going to be an amazing compilation. And we have 14 women from 10 countries in the book. So yeah, so mark the date. And with that, I want to move on to rapid fire questions part of our conversation.
Okay.
This is fun. This is a fun one. And are you ready?
Yes. Ready.
Okay, my first question is, your favorite book name is?
One more.
One more.
Yes,
The
by
book.
Ed Milet.
Ooh, I didn't hear about that one. Haven't heard about it. Beach or mountains?
Ooh. Could be both.
Yeah.
On the mountains looking over the beach. How about that?
Love it. Favorite international destination to visit?
Ooh. Just one? Just one?
Yeah, I know it's hard, right?
Well, let me say my two, just because there's such big
Yeah,
juxtapositions.
okay. Yeah.
Bali for sure. I mean, I love it is for sure on my home, right? Home turf, but Bali, there's just something special out there in terms of culture. But I definitely love the south of France too, Nice, and that's very close to my heart because I love to spending my time there, and I felt very much at home.
I love it. Summer or winter?
Ooh, summer.
Okay. And the last one is things that you have discovered about yourself recently.
That's a great question. I think the most recent is, even though sometimes you may think that you are very confident of yourself, a lot of times you're like, yeah, okay, I can do it. When you actually have to be, you're in the helm, and you have 10, 12-hour days, and you put your full, physical exhaustion to it, and you still have to do certain things. And, at the end of the day, it's like, wow, I still can do it. I have the strength. I know I can put this together. I know that if I just plan things, right, like look at all the different options, there is a way. Like just really never getting too defeated in something and not quitting. Whatever it is, whatever part. And I think recently, it seems very super tangible, but even though we had the storms and everything like that, and how it's very devastating for a lot of people, I think just recently, just understanding that, like I always see different perspectives of like how grateful that we can be, and because of that, I think that's what I've learned. It's I want what I want, and I'm gonna get it, and it's not the time yet to just settle.
Yeah, I love it. Thank you for sharing that. Thank you for playing. Love it. Miranti, thank you so much for your time today. I really enjoyed it.
Thank you, Elle.
And we will definitely post links for our listeners to connect with you. And and to the beautiful chateau that you have in Sonoma. I have to come and check it out myself.
Yes, you're welcome anytime.
Thank you, Miranti. And I look forward to speaking with you soon.
Yes, thank you so much, Elle, for having me.
Yeah, absolutely. Bye.